The world watched in disbelief on February 24, 2022, as Russian forces surged across the Ukrainian border. The invasion, a blatant violation of international law, marked the beginning of a full-scale war in Europe, a conflict that few had anticipated. Russian President Vladimir Putin, in his address announcing the special military operation, claimed the goal was to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine, rhetoric widely dismissed as a pretext for an unprovoked attack. Putin's plan, it seemed, was to swiftly decapitate the Ukrainian government and install a pro-Russian regime. The initial target, Kyiv, the heart of Ukraine. Russian troops, backed by tanks and artillery, advanced on multiple fronts targeting key infrastructure and military installations. The shock of the invasion reverberated through Ukraine and beyond. Many analysts predicted a swift Russian victory, assuming that Ukraine's defenses would crumble under the weight of the assault. The world braced for the fall of Kyiv, anticipating a brutal occupation. However, the Kremlin had underestimated the resolve of the Ukrainian people. Instead of surrendering, Ukrainians from all walks of life took up arms, joining the territorial defense forces to defend their homeland. President Volodymyr Zelensky, once a comedian, emerged as a wartime leader, rallying his people with defiance and determination. His refusal to flee Kiev, his now iconic declaration, "I need ammunition, not a ride," became a symbol of Ukraine's unwavering spirit. The initial Russian advance, though fierce, soon encountered unexpected resistance. Ukrainian forces, armed with modern weaponry supplied by Western allies, inflicted heavy losses on the invaders. Javelin anti-tank missiles and Turkish-made Bayraktar TB2 drones proved particularly effective, decimating Russian armored columns and stalling their progress. The conflict quickly evolved into a grinding war of attrition, far removed from the swift victory envisioned by the Kremlin. Ukraine's ability to withstand the initial Russian onslaught surprised many, but it was not solely due to military hardware. The Ukrainian people, fueled by a fierce sense of national identity and a determination to defend their freedom, mounted a spirited resistance that extended far beyond the battlefield. Civilians played a crucial role, providing logistical support, sharing intelligence, and even engaging in acts of sabotage against the invading forces. The resistance was widespread, encompassing urban centers and rural villages alike. Social media became a potent weapon in Ukraine's arsenal. Ukrainians armed with smartphones documented Russian atrocities, shared real-time updates on troop movements, and rallied international support. The narrative of the war, carefully controlled by Russian state media within Russia, was countered by a flood of raw, unfiltered information coming directly from the front lines. The world witnessed the brutality of the invasion firsthand, galvanizing support for Ukraine and prompting unprecedented sanctions against Russia. The West, initially hesitant to get directly involved in the conflict, responded with a remarkable display of unity. NATO allies, led by the United States, provided Ukraine with billions of dollars in military aid, including advanced weapons systems, intelligence sharing, and training for Ukrainian troops. This support, while crucial in bolstering Ukraine's defenses, remained a point of contention, with Russia accusing the West of waging a proxy war against it. Ukraine's resistance, however, was not without its costs. The war exacted a heavy toll on the country's infrastructure, economy, and people. Millions of Ukrainians were displaced internally, seeking refuge from the fighting, while millions more fled across the border, creating a humanitarian crisis of immense proportions. The human cost of the conflict, measured in lives lost, families torn apart, and futures shattered, continued to mount with each passing day. The capital city of Kyiv, once a vibrant metropolis, found itself on the front lines of a 21st-century war. Russian forces aiming to seize the city and crush Ukrainian resistance met with fierce opposition from Ukrainian defenders and armed civilians. The Battle of Kyiv, a month-long struggle for control of the capital, became a symbol of Ukraine's determination to resist the invasion. Images of Ukrainian soldiers, many of them volunteers with little prior military experience, defending their city against a numerically superior foe, captured the world's attention. Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city and a major industrial center, faced a similar onslaught. Located just miles from the Russian border, Kharkiv endured relentless shelling and missile attacks, reducing entire neighborhoods to rubble. The city's residents, however, displayed remarkable resilience, taking shelter in underground metro stations, organizing volunteer efforts to support the troops, and continuing to live their lives amidst the chaos and destruction. The resistance in Kharkiv, like in Kyiv, demonstrated the futility of Russia's attempt to subdue Ukraine through brute force. These cities, scarred by war but unbroken in spirit, became emblems of Ukrainian resilience. The defense of Kyiv and Kharkiv, against all odds, shifted the momentum of the war, exposing the limitations of Russia's military might and bolstering Ukraine's belief in its ability to prevail. The stories of courage and sacrifice from these cities resonated far beyond their borders, inspiring international admiration and support. However, the human cost of this resistance was immense. Civilian casualties mounted, with thousands killed or wounded in indiscriminate shelling and airstrikes. Hospitals, schools, and residential areas were not spared, leading to accusations of war crimes against Russia. The destruction of Mariupol, a strategic port city on the Sea of Azov, became a chilling symbol of the war's brutality. After weeks of relentless bombardment, Mariupol fell to Russian forces, but not before enduring a devastating siege that left the city in ruins. The war in Ukraine transcended a regional conflict. It became a pivotal moment in European history, with profound implications for the international order. Putin's invasion, a blatant attempt to redraw the map of Europe by force, shattered the post-Cold War security architecture, raising fundamental questions about the future of Europe and the rules-based international system. The conflict exposed the fragility of peace in Europe and highlighted the dangers of authoritarianism and revisionist powers. For Ukraine, the war was an existential struggle, a fight for survival as a nation. It was a battle not only for territory, but also for identity, for the right to determine its own future free from external interference. The Ukrainian people, in their defiance, demonstrated their commitment to democracy, freedom, and European integration, values that stood in stark contrast to the authoritarianism and aggression of the Putin regime. The war's outcome remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: the conflict had already reshaped the geopolitical landscape of Europe and beyond. The transatlantic alliance, strained in the years leading up to the invasion, found renewed purpose in the face of Russian aggression. NATO, once considered by some to be a relic of the Cold War, experienced a resurgence, with Finland and Sweden abandoning their long-held neutrality to seek membership in the alliance. The war in Ukraine, with its immense human cost and geopolitical ramifications, served as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of defending democratic values. It was a conflict that would continue to shape the future of Europe and the world, a testament to the enduring human spirit in the face of adversity and the enduring desire for freedom and self-determination.